Discover how one black housekeeper uncovered the hidden clue that could save a billionaire's life. Ella stood still for a moment, her heart racing as the weight of the world seemed to rest on her shoulders. She looked around the gleaming mansion, the sprawling lawns, and the walls decorated with art worth fortunes. But all she could think about was her family, her son's dreams, her daughter's laughter, her grandmother's unwavering spirit guiding her. At 35, every stroke of her cleaning cloth felt like a step toward a better life. She pushed back her memories of her grandmother, a proud veteran, who taught her to cherish integrity and sacrifice above all that. As Ella methodically wiped the kitchen counters, she caught a glimpse of something peculiar, a journal misplaced, pages fluttering slightly, as if crying out for attention. She picked it up, brushing the dust off its cover. Glancing around to ensure she was alone, she opened it. Words poured out, scribbled thoughts of a life lived in both light and shadows. It sent chills down her spine. Hidden mysteries cloaked in wealth felt so near, yet far away, drumming up a sense of urgency. She couldn't shake off the feeling of transformation that came from delving into what could be a revelation about her employer, a reclusive billionaire tech mogul, who carried the dual weight of immense wealth and hidden burdens. As she continued her chores, the framed photograph she discovered behind the bookshelf, an image of a younger man with a soldier's pride, flanked by strangers, kept nagging at her mind. Each day, spent inside this luxurious bubble, Ella felt the stark disparities of class and privilege. The lavish mansion stood in stark contrast to her modest neighborhood, where everyone shared their worries and hopes. Despite the dazzling life of the billionaire, Ella couldn't help but feel there was a story beneath the glitzy surface, one that could link them both in ways she hadn't quite pieced together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the sun edging low on the horizon one evening, Ella stumbled upon a shocking truth hidden within the pages of that journal. It pointed to dangerous secrets from the mogul's past, ones tied to crime and loss that echoed through the decades. Suddenly, the stakes were raised. What she discovered could threaten not just his life, but rip the fragile fabric of her own existence apart. The realization crashed into her like a wave. What would she do? Loyalty to a man who might have darkness lurking within him, or the protection of her family? The tension in her heart throbbed. Whispers from her community echoed in her mind. They valued integrity, justice, and standing against wrong. Each conversation reminded her of the collective strength of those who loved and supported her. As she prepared to confront him, the thought hung in the air. How would he react? Would he listen? Would he guard the truth? The moment felt electric, each second a countdown. Just as she gathered the courage to speak her truth, a familiar voice called her name, pulling her attention and shaking her resolve. It was her neighbor, standing with questions in their eyes, a reminder that this was bigger than just her. The tension had reached a fever pitch, and Ella's path forward now trembled on the brink of revelation. What would she choose? The weight of the world rested heavy, and the impact of a single choice loomed like a shadow stretched long into the twilight. Ella turned towards her neighbor, her heart in her throat. It was Mrs. Johnson, an elderly woman with a kind smile who had become like family. But today, something was different. There was urgency in Mrs. Johnson's voice, a sense that they shared something unspoken. Ella, have you heard what happened this afternoon? Mrs. Johnson's eyes sparkled with worry, her hands wringing her apron. Ella shook her head, trying to focus. The journal's revelations loomed in her mind, but she knew she had to listen. No, what's wrong? There's been an accident involving Mr. Treadwell's company, Mrs. Johnson said, her voice trembling. A power plant explosion. They say there were casualties, and he's been linked to it somehow. Suddenly, Ella felt a cold rush of fear. All the doubts and suspicions she had about her employer flooded back. She had seen Mr. Treadwell a few times, his sharp blue eyes focused and calculating. He was brilliant, sure, but that brilliance came with shadows, didn't it? The journal hinted at connections to questionable practices. What if this was the tipping point? Ella, we need to do something, Mrs. Johnson urged, stepping closer. I know people are saying things, and those in power have a way of covering up the truth. He could be in danger. But if he is guilty, her voice trailed off, leaving an unspoken tension hanging between them. Ella bit her lip. What if the truth in that journal could still save him? Yet would saving him mean risking her family? She thought of her children, their innocent laughter echoing through their small home. They depended on her stability and her decisions. I can't just stand by if something terrible is happening, Ella said, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of her choice felt heavier than ever. Maybe you could talk to him, Mrs. Johnson suggested, her expression earnest. You're close to him. You might find a way to help. Maybe he can explain. Those words struck Ella like a bolt of lightning. Could she? The thought of confronting Mr. Treadwell, of standing in that opulent office like a beacon of truth and reckoning, made her stomach churn. But the same passion that ignited inside her when she witnessed injustice now flickered with intensity. This was about more than just her. It was about honor and doing what was right. But at what cost? All right, I'll talk to him, Ella decided, feeling the weight of her own words. But I have to be careful. This isn't just about him. It's about my family's safety. Mrs. Johnson nodded, her eyes softening, pride mingling with concern. You've got a good heart, Ella. Just remember, trust your instincts. With that, the two women parted ways. Ella's chest tightened with anticipation and fear. She walked back toward the mansion, determination stirring her spirit. As she crossed the threshold into that grand space, the air felt charged with possibility. Would Mr. Treadwell be receptive? Or would he deny the shadows creeping ever closer? Deep in her gut, something told her this was just the beginning. The journal wasn't simply a collection of secrets. It was a gateway to the truth, and now more than ever, she needed to uncover it. Suddenly, she heard a door slam echoing from the office. Was that him? Ella took a deep breath, steeling herself for the confrontation ahead. Would he hear her out? Or would this choice plunge them both into deeper danger than they could ever anticipate? Ella felt her heart race as she stepped into the quiet space of the hall, the scent of polished wood and expensive cologne filling the air. She could hear the murmur of voices drifting from Mr. Treadwell's office, one sounding sharp and authoritative, the other a deeper, more anxious tone probably from Mr. Treadwell himself. She hesitated, her mind wrestling with doubt. What right did she have to intervene in matters so far beyond her own life? But the urgency of Mrs. Johnson's words echoed in her mind. Mr. Treadwell had a dark shadow looming over him, and Ella couldn't just walk away now. The journal nestled in her bag felt heavier, its secrets a burden and a guide. Taking a deep breath, she moved closer, then knocked lightly at the door. Almost instantly, it swung open. Mr. Treadwell stood there, his shirt slightly rumpled, and a hint of panic flickering in his striking blue eyes. He looked up, caught off guard to see her standing there. Ella, what are you doing here? His voice was low, a mixture of surprise and urgency. I came to see you, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. I heard about the explosion. I needed to understand. Are you okay? He studied her for a moment, his expression shifting. Ella could see the battle in his eyes, as if he were weighing whether to let her in or push her away. Eventually, he stepped back, gesturing for her to enter. Come in, he said, and the moment she crossed the threshold, Ella felt a sense of gravity envelop her. This was at the moment she had prepared for, the chance to urge him to confront the accusations head-on. His office was disheveled. Papers were scattered across the desk, and the glow from multiple screens cast shadows along the room. I might not be safe here, he said, his voice lowering. Everything is spiraling out of control. Then why don't you explain what is happening? She pressed gently. I want to help you, but I need to know the truth. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration dancing in his features. It was a freak accident, Ella. The plan had just been upgraded, protocols were followed, but something went wrong. He paused, his brows knitting together. And people are linking me to it because of my position as CEO. The strained honesty in his eyes tugged at her heart. But the journal, it suggests other things. It hints at deeper problems within the company. Is there more you're not telling me? His gaze fell to the floor, shame darkening his features. I may have turned a blind eye to some practices for the sake of profit, but I never intended for this to happen. I wanted to provide jobs, build something beneficial. I can't believe it's come to this. Ella felt a wave of empathy wash over her. His vulnerability stripped away the walls he had built around himself. You need to be proactive, Mr. Treadwell. If the truth is buried, it could destroy everything, your company and your reputation. He looked at her, a flicker of hope dancing in his eyes. And what do you suggest? How can we untangle this mess? In that moment, Ella knew her instincts were right. She could be the key to saving him, but she had to tread carefully. We need to find out the real cause and gather evidence. Someone must know more. But we also have to protect your name and mine. Mr. Treadwell regarded her steadily. You realize how dangerous this could get? I do, she answered, swallowing hard. But I can't back down now. Not when lives are at stake. He nodded slowly, the tension in the room shifting. Then we'll find the truth together, Ella. I'll need your help more than ever. As she felt a mix of determination and fear coursing through her veins, the door suddenly swung wide open behind her. A figure stood there, eyes blazing with disbelief. We need to talk, Treadwell, the newcomer declared, cutting through the air with authority. Ella's heart sank. Who was this man, and what did he want? She had stepped into a world of secrets and danger, and now it seemed like there was no way out. Ella's breath caught in her throat as she turned to face the newcomer. His presence was imposing, a tall man in a sharp suit that seemed more like armor than clothing. He had an air of command, and she sensed immediately that he wasn't just an affable stranger. Treadwell, the man continued, his voice cool and unyielding. I know things have gotten complicated, but we need a resolution fast. The board isn't going to wait forever. Ella exchanged a glance with Mr. Treadwell, who wore a mask of conflict. She could practically feel the tension in the room thrum like a taut wire. Who are you? She asked, trying to maintain her composure. I'm Jonathan Gray, he replied, his eyes sizing her up like she was an obstacle. I'm here on behalf of your shareholders. There's no time for distractions. Mr. Treadwell straightened, the agitation on his face clear. Ella is not a distraction. She's been helping you? Right. That's what you need now, Jonathan interrupted, a hint of sarcasm lining his words. You are in a precarious position. Do you really think bringing someone else into this mess is wise? Ella clenched her fists at her sides. She wasn't just some outsider. She was a part of this now. I'm trying to defend Mr. Treadwell's interests, not undermine them. The explosion changed everything, and it's my responsibility to ensure the truth comes out. Jonathan studied her, a hint of surprise flickering across his features, but quickly replaced by indifference. Truth? The truth might get you both fired, or worse. You think that journal you're nursing is going to save you? It's a double-edged sword. Enough. Mr. Treadwell's voice rose with unexpected strength. The words shot through the air like a gunshot. Ella is the only one who understands the importance of transparency right now. If we hide from it, we will fall together. Ella felt her heart swell with confidence. In stepping forward, she was believing not just in herself, but in something greater, the notion that honesty could prevail over fear. But how do we even start? You seem to have a seriously vested interest in keeping things quiet. She directed her gaze back at Jonathan, refusing to let his presence intimidate her. Let us just say I'm well aware of what's at stake, he said, a steely edge in his voice. But if this goes south, it'll destroy everything you love starting with this company. Then stop resisting, she countered, her voice steady. If you're really on our side, let us work together. Let us dig into what truly happened. Jonathan looked from Ella to Mr. Treadwell, weighing their resolve. The room was thick with tension, almost electric. Finally, he sighed, an imperceptible shift in his demeanor. Fine. I'll give you 36 hours. Get something concrete, and then we can talk about a plan. But mark my words, this will not end well if you don't tread carefully. With that, he turned on his heel and marched out, leaving an echo of uncertainty in his wake. Ella turned to Mr. Treadwell, a mixture of excitement and dread fluttering in her chest. Did you see that? He could help us or make everything worse. Yes, but we now know he's nervous, Mr. Treadwell replied, running a hand through his hair again. That means we can use it to our advantage. Then let us find out what he knows and what he is hiding, she asserted, feeling the resolve building inside her. As they gathered their thoughts, Ella felt the weight of the journal in her bag once again. It held secrets waiting to be uncovered, clues she couldn't ignore. They needed to start digging right away, but she also knew that time was against them. Just as she opened her mouth to voice a plan, Mr. Treadwell's phone buzzed on the desk. He glanced at the screen, his expression shifting to one of horror. "You won't believe this," he said, as the color drained from his face. "What? What is it?" "Someone has been digging into my past, and they know far too much." Ella's breath quickened. Was the danger they faced bigger than just the company's reputation? Were they now in a game of survival? Everything within her screamed to find out more, but would that quest for the truth put their lives on the line? The urgency of their situation pressed down on her like a weight. They had to act quickly, but was she ready for what lay ahead? Ella felt a chill creep down her spine, the weight of the words hanging in the air. Mr. Treadwell's phone buzzed ominously again, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was thick, pregnant with possibilities. "What do you mean they know too much?" Ella finally asked, her voice small but steady. Mr. Treadwell's hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through the messages. "There's a text here, someone's threatening to expose details about my past dealings. If that gets out, it could ruin everything." "Everything?" Ella echoed, her mind racing. They weren't just fighting for the company. They were now implicated in something deeper and darker. He nodded, his eyes clouding with fear. "The board won't give me a chance to explain. They'll see me as a liability. If they find out, I can't face that. I've worked too hard." Her heart raced. The stakes were higher than she had understood. They were not just fighting for a company's reputation, but for lives intertwined with it, families depending on their livelihoods. "What do we do?" she asked, urgency clinging to her words. "We need to dig deeper. If someone is after me, they might be after you too," he replied, standing taller, a newfound determination sparking in his eyes. "We can't let fear control us. We'll search every lead in that journal you have and see what connections we can find." "Right?" she said, feeling the adrenaline course through her veins. The journal, this was where her journey began, and maybe it was far more important than she ever thought. Suddenly, she remembered something. "Wait, you mentioned a past dealing earlier. What was it about?" Mr. Treadwell turned toward her, the weight of secrecy in his eyes. "There are things I can't discuss right now. It's complicated, but it could be the key," she pressed, feeling the fire of necessity ignite within her. "What if this past is what's leading someone to target you?" He hesitated, glancing outside as if the shadows might hold the answers he was too afraid to articulate. "I was involved in a project that went badly. I thought we had it covered, but it spiraled. People lost jobs. Trust was broken." Ella leaned closer, her heart racing. "And now someone is using that against you, knowing it's your weakness?" Yes, his voice was strained. "Then we need to turn that weakness into strength," she insisted, a bold idea forming in her mind. "If we can find evidence of the truth behind that project, we can thwart anyone trying to use it against you. We can expose their game before they get the chance to ruin you." Mr. Treadwell regarded her with newfound respect. "You really think we can do this?" "I know we can," she replied, heartened by their shared conviction. "Let us start looking through the journal now. Any detail, no matter how small, could lead us to the answers we need." They sat down at the desk, Ella pulling out the journal with trembling hands. The weight of history and potential thrummed in the air. As she flipped through the pages filled with hurried notes and observations, a small envelope slipped out and fluttered to the ground. "What's this?" Mr. Treadwell asked, leaning down to pick it up. Ella's breath caught as she saw the worn edges. It was addressed to Mr. Treadwell, and the sender's name was smudged but recognizable. "It's from Raymond Miller," she exclaimed. "He was your partner on that project, wasn't he?" "Yes," but his eyes widened. But it was too late. Ella had opened the envelope and began pulling out folded papers. A cascade of emotions washed over her: hope, fear, anticipation. Each page felt like a piece of a puzzle waiting to be put together. As she meticulously unfolded the first sheet, curiosity piqued. What secrets would it reveal? But just as she started reading, Mr. Treadwell's phone buzzed violently again. He glanced down, his expression darkening. "It's him, Raymond," he said, the blood draining from his face. "He wants to meet." "What does he want?" Ella asked, her heart pounding against her chest. "I don't know, but we have to find out. It could be our only chance." The gravity of his words hit them both. They hadn't just stumbled into a truth. They were on the brink of something much larger than themselves. Ella nodded, filled with determination. "Then let us go? We're not backing down now." As they gathered their things and prepared to face what lay ahead, Ella couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. But as they left the office, one question consumed her mind. Would they be ready for what the meeting would unleash? The air in the car was thick with tension as Ella drove. She could feel the vibrations of Mr. Treadwell's anxiety alongside her own. It was a strange cocktail of fear and excitement bubbling in her chest, pushing her to keep her eyes on the road while her thoughts raced through all the possibilities ahead. "Where's the meeting?" she asked, her voice steady, though she could hear the slight tremor beneath it. "An old diner on the edge of town," Mr. Treadwell replied, glancing at his phone again. Raymond insisted on a public place, somewhere he felt safe. Ella nodded, trying to match his gaze in the rearview mirror. This was the first step into a confrontation that could change everything. "Do you trust him?" Mr. Treadwell's silence spoke volumes. "I don't know. He has his reasons," he finally said, sounding defeated. "But we need answers. If he knows something that can clear my name, I can't just turn away." Her heart sank for him. What if he doesn't want to help? What if he just wants to protect himself? "Then we'll have to outsmart him," he said, a flicker of defiance igniting in his eyes. "We're not going in blind. We have that envelope. And whatever the truth is, we deserve to know." When they arrived at the diner, the neon sign buzzed, casting an eerie glow over the worn-out tables and chrome fixtures. Ella took a deep breath as they stepped inside, the nostalgic smell of coffee and grease filling her lungs. The place was nearly empty, save for a couple of truck drivers and an elderly gentleman nursing a slice of pie. "He's late," Mr. Treadwell muttered, scanning the room. "Maybe he's just cautious," Ella replied, forcing a mouthful of optimism into her voice. She could feel a knot tighten in her stomach, the weight of uncertainty settling over them. Minutes twitched by. Just as Ella began to feel the walls close in, the door swung open. In walked Raymond Miller, looking as tense as a coiled spring. He spotted them immediately and approached with a steely gaze, though there was a flicker of something else buried underneath. "Raymond," Mr. Treadwell greeted, his voice tinged with formality. "Do you mind if we sit?" Raymond nodded toward a back booth with a view of the entrance, a strategic choice. They all squeezed into the booth, the tension palpable. "What is this about?" Mr. Treadwell started, emotion thickening his words. "Why the secrecy?" Raymond leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I didn't want to bring this to light, but I heard whispers. People are after both of us, Treadwell. They know more than you think. It's not just about the project. There's a bigger game at play." Ella's heart pounded. "What game?" Raymond hesitated, looking from Mr. Treadwell to her. "Someone wants to take you both down. They know details, connections." He sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair. "And I'm afraid they might not stop until they do." Mr. Treadwell shifted uncomfortably. "We're willing to fight back." Raymond's face twisted in grim recognition. "Fighting back isn't enough. You need protection. There's more in that envelope than just old notes. You need to understand what we were really involved in." Before Ella could respond, Mr. Treadwell pulled out the contents of the envelope, spreading the papers across the table. Each paper seemed to bring both fear and clarity. "Let us start with what we've got then. We need to piece this together." As they dove into the papers, familiar names and dates flitted by, revealing a tangled web of betrayals and dark secrets. Suddenly, Ella's finger traced over a name that sent a shock through her. "Wait, I know this company. They have power, connections. If they're involved, we're in deep trouble." Raymond's eyes darkened. "That's exactly what I'm afraid of. They've been keeping tabs on us, and it won't be long before they close in." The weight of the words hung heavy in the air, the electric charge of warning palpable. Ella's mind raced, her breath quickening, every instinct igniting. "Then we need to act fast," she said, meeting Mr. Treadwell's gaze with determination. "We can't let them get to us first." But as they prepared to confront the truth, a shadow loomed over them from the entrance. A figure slid into view, a face Ella recognized from the past, and with it, an undeniable sense of dread. Would the revelation of their secrets seal their fate, or would it serve as their greatest ally? Ella's breath caught in her throat, her heart thudding louder than the diner's old jukebox. She couldn't believe her eyes. There, standing with an air of casual confidence, was Marissa, her childhood friend turned housekeeper for the very wealthy clientele Ella had grown accustomed to avoiding. Marissa had moved on to a life that seemed a world away from theirs, filled with exclusive parties and luxurious homes. But now, here she was, and the look on her face was anything but friendly. "Marissa, what are you doing here?" Ella's voice came out wobbly as she fought to process the surprise that punctured her already frayed nerves. That Marissa's gaze flickered briefly to Mr. Treadwell and Raymond before locking back onto Ella. "I could ask you the same thing. Sitting in a place like this?" She raised an eyebrow, but something in her expression softened. "What has happened, Ella? You look like you've seen a ghost, or maybe something worse." Mr. Treadwell's voice cut into the tension like a knife. "We're here for serious business," he declared, his defiance written all over him. "We don't have time for your games." Marissa straightened, her stance reflecting a sudden resolve. "I'm not interested in games, Mr. Treadwell. Trust me." She glanced at Ella, then back at the men. "I heard something that may change everything for you both. I came here to warn you." Ella swallowed hard, her stomach twisting. "What do you mean? What did you hear?" "People are moving against you," Marissa replied, her voice lowering. "And it's bigger than you think. I overheard a conversation at one of the parties I worked. They're not just after Mr. Treadwell. They want to erase anyone associated with the project. Classes, meetings, all of it. You're all in danger." Ella felt a cold rush of fear, the implications settling like stones in her stomach. "Danger how?" she pressed, desperation creeping into her tone. Marissa held a finger up to silence the questions swirling in the diner's air. "Not here, this isn't safe. We can't discuss it in public." She glanced towards the front door, instinctively assessing who might be listening. Raymond clenched his fists, an agitation simmering beneath the surface. "Ella, we can't trust her. It's too risky to get wrapped up in whatever she's hinting at. Just hear her out," Ella urged, her voice firm. "We need every lead we can get." Marissa nodded, her expression cautious yet resolved. "Meet me later. I know a place somewhere quiet." She hesitated, glancing at the papers spread before them. "But if you want to know what I overheard, it has to be just us." Mr. Treadwell looked like he might protest, but Ella could feel the urgency rising within her. "Okay, we'll meet. But we need to know everything. No details left out," she said, fixing her gaze on Marissa, trying to gauge whether they could trust her. "I'll tell you what I can, but you should watch your backs," Marissa said softly, the gravity of her words pulling them all into a quiet realization. Secrets disunified them, but the danger was a shared burden. As Marissa slipped out of the diner, tension lingered in the air, thick as fog. Ella could feel Mr. Treadwell's hesitance radiating outwards. "Do you think we can really trust her?" he asked, an edge of fear lacing his voice. "I don't know," she admitted, her heart racing. "But right now, she might be the only person who can help us." Just then, the bell above the diner door jingled again. Another figure stepped in, one Ella recognized. He was the kind of person who commanded a room just by entering it. Victor Phillips, a ruthless businessman known for his cutting deals and shady connections. His ice-blue eyes scanned the diner, a predator on the hunt. Ella froze, a deep chill crawling up her spine. "What is he doing here?" she whispered, the reality of their situation crashing down like a heavy wave. "Stay calm," Treadwell urged. "We're not backing down now." But as Victor's gaze settled on their booth, it was clear this battle had only just begun. What was it that Marissa knew? And how far would Victor go to keep that information hidden? Ella's heart raced as Victor's piercing gaze etched an unsettling awareness across her skin. He was not just any businessman. He was a kingpin in a world that churned beneath the surface of society, a world she had fought hard to ignore. The diner felt smaller, the walls closing in, as if they might crush her with the weight of an unspoken truth. Mr. Treadwell leaned closer, his voice low and urgent. "We need to leave now." "No," Ella whispered fiercely. "Not until we hear what he wants." Victor approached their table, a predatory smile lurking behind smug confidence. Well, look at this cozy little meeting," he drawled, eyes flicking between Ella and Treadwell. "I hope you're not getting into trouble." Raymond shifted in his seat, an almost instinctual reaction to a threat. "What do you want, Victor?" he snapped, his bravado barely masking his unease. Victor took a leisurely sip from a paper cup of coffee. "Just thought I'd drop by and check on my esteemed colleagues," he said, grinning like a wolf among sheep. "I've heard some interesting whispers, but I wouldn't worry too much. I'm sure everything is fine." Ella's stomach churned. You think you can intimidate us? She shot back, though her voice trembled a little more than she intended. Whatever you're up to, we're not scared of you. The smile faded from Victor's face, replaced by something more menacing. Scared? Oh, sweet Ella, it's not about fear. It's about survival. His tone turned cold, the warmth dissolving in the air. Why don't you just let sleeping dogs lie? Or I might have to make your life complicated. That sent a shiver through her. Complicated was an understatement. She forced herself to remain steady in the wake of Victor's threat. I'd rather know what is coming at me than stand by and be blindsided. Brave words, he chuckled. But let us not kid ourselves. You're in way over your heads. He cast a glance at Mr. Treadwell. You too, old man. Your empire is crumbling, and you've got no idea who is pulling the strings. Are you sure you want to stay in the game? Ella glanced at Treadwell, searching for any hint of reassurance, but his brow hardened, and a shadow flitted across his face. The weight of Victor's words draped heavy over them. Just remember, I am always watching. Victor continued, the insinuation clear. He turned, leaving the diner with the same nonchalance with which he entered, but his presence lingered like a dark cloud. Ella let out a shaky breath. We need to go. I don't trust him, but he wants to rest until he gets what he wants. Treadwell nodded, visibly shaken, and Raymond glanced around nervously, unsure of their next step. Marissa, Ella murmured, urgency igniting in her. We need to meet her. She might know how to handle this. As they rushed out of the diner, the afternoon sun felt both comforting and suffocating, the world malfunctioning in its usual hum. Ella felt a mix of fear and determination swell inside her. The impending danger loomed over them, thickening with each step they took toward the place where they would meet Marissa. What more did Marissa have to tell them? And could she truly be their key to outmaneuvering Victor Phillips? The streets hummed with life, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond the surface. Ella's mind raced as she led the way, her steps quickened by urgency. Raymond and Treadwell trailed behind her, their voices hushed, tension thick in the air. Are you sure about this? Raymond whispered, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. Marissa might not have the answers we need. Victor's not just going to disappear. Ella shot him a glance, a mixture of determination and defiance reflected in her eyes. We want to know unless we ask. She has connections, we just have to hope she is willing to help us. Her thoughts drifted to Marissa. The woman had been in the game for years, navigating the treacherous waters of their world with finesse. If anyone could provide clarity, it was her. They turned a corner, the old brick buildings lining the street covered in graffiti, a chaotic mural of expression that somehow felt alive, much like the city itself. Ella inhaled sharply, feeling the city pulse around her, its vibrancy stark against her anxious heart. Finally, they reached Marissa's building, an unassuming place that hid a wealth of knowledge. The outside was peeling a little, but it had character. She knocked on the door, her heartbeat rising with the anxious rhythm of her breaths. Seconds later, the door swung open to reveal Marissa. Her caramel skin glowed under the bright lights of the hallway, and despite her age, the sparkle in her eye was youthful, alive. Ella, you made it, she exclaimed, her voice a warm embrace. Marissa, we need your help, Ella urged, stepping into the small but cozy apartment. The walls were lined with photos, memories captured in frames, laughter and joy contrasting sharply with the weight of the moment. Bursting with a mixture of hope and worry, Marissa closed the door and motioned them to sit. What is going on? She asked, looking from one to the next, her brow furrowing as she sensed the tension. Victor's threat lingered in the air, but Ella took a deep breath and recounted the meeting, every agonizing detail spilling out. Marissa listened intently, her expression shifting with each revelation. When Ella finished, Marissa leaned back, her fingers entwined thoughtfully. Victor Phillips, she breathed, a hint of recognition flickering in her eyes. He is dangerous. Trust me, you don't want to cross him. We can't just let him intimidate us, Treadwell interjected, his voice filled with both defiance and fatigue. There has to be something we can do. Marissa returned her gaze to Ella, measuring her resolve carefully. You're right, but you'll need to be prepared. Victor doesn't play fair. But that doesn't mean we can't strategize. I might have heard whispers about something he's involved in, an underground deal that's gone bad. If we can leverage that, Ella felt her breath hitch. Could this lead to the opportunity they needed? Show us. Her voice was steady, channeling a fierce bravery she didn't completely feel. Marissa nodded, her expression serious. But before you jump in, I need to know just how far you're willing to go. This is dangerous territory, more dangerous than you realize. Ella met her gaze, determination hardening inside her. I'll do whatever it takes. We can't let him win. As they began to plot their course forward, the weight of their choices settled upon them. What hidden secrets would emerge from the looming danger? And when faced with the dark truths of their world, would they be ready to confront the shadows together? Ella felt the heaviness in the air as she sat across from Marissa in the cozy apartment. A surge of courage welled up inside her, ready to battle the demons lurking in the shadows. Everything had led to this moment, a confrontation with fear born out of necessity. I can't go back, Marissa, Ella began, her voice unwavering. Not after everything. We need to act. Tell us what you know. Marissa nodded, her eyes serious. I overheard something at a gala a few weeks back. Victor is tangled in something big, dirty money, illegal contracts. He's got a network of people who are willing to do anything to protect him. Mr. Treadwell leaned forward, excitement piercing through his earlier apprehension. Is that why he scared us in the diner? If he's vulnerable, then maybe we can use that. Exactly, Marissa replied, her tone shifting into a strategizing mode. But you have to understand, venturing into this could put your lives at risk. You need to be smart. Ella looked around, her heart racing yet exhilarated by the possibility. We know the bigger risk is keeping quiet and letting him control us. We have to confront him. We can't just be pawns in his game anymore. Raymond interjected, how can we prove this? We need more than just whispers. We need evidence. Marissa pointed to a bookshelf filled with files. I have contacts, private investigators, even some journalists who would jump at the chance to expose someone like Victor. I'll reach out, but you two have to be careful. He's not just some businessman. He's ruthless. Ella nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Then let us do this. We expose him, and we clear your name, Mr. Treadwell. We can put a stop to his threats, but we need to act fast. With newfound purpose, the trio started brainstorming a plan. They mapped out contacts, sketched out strategies, and even began piecing together the fragments of evidence from the pages Ella had pulled from the journal. Time became fluid, fleeting. As they worked together, a sense of unity forming between them. They dug deeper into the world of shadows where Victor manipulated the game, piecing together leads that felt electrifying. But even with the high spirits, the threat loomed like a thick fog. The night before they planned to execute their sting, Ella found herself staring at her children's pictures on her phone. Their smiles, pure and innocent, brought tears to her eyes. This was for them. This was about transforming their future. The next day, as dawn broke, the air felt different, charged and alive with anticipation. Ella and Mr. Treadwell stood outside a bustling cafe where they had agreed to meet Marissa and the investigators. Her heart raced, but a sense of determination steadied her. When Marissa arrived, flanked by a sharp-eyed journalist, Ella knew they had to be ready. Victor thinks he's untouchable, the journalist said, his voice low, but brimming with excitement. But we've got him on tape, making shady deals with his partners at a private meeting. We need to expose this. Ella felt a transformative rush. This was it, the moment they had prepared for. As they devised their approach to unveil the information, the tension turned into purpose. Hours later, they found themselves standing outside Victor's lavish office building. Ella's stomach twisted with nerves, but she silently reminded herself their mission was far bigger than fear. Marissa, who had initially been a distant face from her past, now felt like family, each of them holding onto a shared strength. Ella stepped forward, a sense of clarity washing over her. She was doing this not only for herself, but for those in the community who had ever felt silenced by power. Their right to feel afraid, Ella thought, her voice grounded. But we will not back down. As they positioned themselves, ready to confront what lay beyond the looming glass doors, every churning doubt ricocheted and faded, replaced with fervor. They were armed with truth and a bond that spiraled beyond circumstance. They were ready to fight. And then, with a deep breath, she pushed open the door, feeling that electrifying surge of hope light the way. The office felt different, oppressive. Victor, seated behind an ornate desk, looked up, his expression shifting from surprise to amusement. What brings you here, Ella? He drawled, his eyes narrowing like a predator calculating his next move. This, Ella declared, rising to the moment. It's time for the truth. As the tension crackled across the room, she felt strong. Surrounding her were not just friends, but a movement. They would stand together against the darkness that threatened. Defiance swelled within her heart. This was not merely the end of a chapter. It was the dawn of a fearless new narrative. As she took a step forward, she found the strength to no longer just endure, but to transform. If you were inspired by this journey, you need to subscribe now for more exclusive stories that will move you. Don't wait not even one more second. Hit that like button to help feed the algorithm. Comment below with your feelings about this powerful conclusion, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support.